Hello to YouTube. I'm Tom Simon, Trending Topics News Radio Live, coming to you today from Phoenix, Arizona, where in just the last 48 hours, the Tempe Police Department has released a statement regarding Chinese student safety. This is in the background of what has happened in the last week or so as the parent of a Chinese student murdered in January of 2016 came to Tempe, Arizona, and then subsequently to the court in Phoenix, Arizona, to ask the court not to reduce a sentence of Holly Davis, the murderer of the 19-year-old student back in 2016. The judge refused to deny that plea, and so now, tomorrow, Friday, Holly Davis will be sentenced to something less than life in prison and something less than first-degree murder. She will be actually sentenced under a second-degree murder sanction. But the police department in Tempe is responding to concerns in China and around the world that it is not so safe here in the United States after a gun was used by a convicted felon to kill the 19-year-old back in 2016. Here's what the Tempe police say in their statement. Our hearts and thoughts are with the Zhang family during this difficult time. Our primary goal is to reduce harm in the city of Tempe by reducing crime and the fear of crime. Now, they refused to go on camera. They declined to go on camera. However, they did say that they would answer questions that we provided them. So we did provide them several questions. How can they assure Chinese students are safe? And here's what the Tempe Police Department said in their statement. We have a proactive crime-fighting approach with numerous enforcement operations in the areas surrounding the ASU campus. We proactively address student safety through a variety of educational components, including safety messages regarding how to stay safe in a densely populated community. The Tempe Police Department went on to say, Tempe continues to work with internal and external partners to fully investigate crimes in the city. They also added, we consistently partner with ASU as well as other external partners to address crime trends and work hand in hand to reduce harm to the area surrounding the ASU campus. So those of you who know, ASU has their own campus police department, and it sits right in the midst of the Tempe city. So Tempe police and ASU kind of watch that area together, and this is what he's talking about. He also says, in response to another question, there are few guns in Chinese society. Unlike the U.S., this worries the parents of Chinese students. So we asked the Tempe Police Department, do you have a message for the parents who are concerned about safety and guns? The Tempe Police Department answered this way. They said, we encourage community members to report crime and to assist us in keeping our community safe. They added, we advise students that officers are approachable and encourage students to reach out to officers anytime they do not feel safe in a situation. We partner with ASU to educate students on safety, they say, which is a priority to avoid conflict in a densely populated community. And finally, they say we have internal units and external partners whose priority is to address violent offenders within the community. Finally, we asked the Tempe Police Department in writing, do they recommend that Chinese students carry a weapon for their protection? Why did we ask that? Well, Weibo in China is filled with questions like this. Understand, as we mentioned in the question earlier, that in China, very few people have licensed guns. Usually it's government officials that have those licensed guns. So they're not used to a society in China that it has such access to guns, and so it makes them fearful when they hear about one of their own being shot and killed by an ex-felon with a gun. So the question again, do we recommend that Chinese does the Tempe Police Department recommend Chinese students carry a weapon? They say what we would recommend to all of our community who decides to own a weapon or another type of crime deterrent is to go through the responsible process of owning that weapon to include safety classes and proper storage prior to carrying that weapon on their person. If that person happens to be a weapon happens to be a handgun, please adhere to all federal and state laws. So really not anything alarming or surprising in the statement by the Tempe Police Department that was released just a couple of days ago to us in response to our questions. Sergeant Ronald L. Rock of the Tempe Public Information Office is the one that provided us with these answers. Again, we tell you that they began their statement by saying, our hearts and thoughts are with the Zhang family during this difficult time, and our primary goal is to reduce harm in the city of Tempe by reducing crime and the fear of crime. That's the very latest. Good to have you with us on Trending Topics News Radio Live, and we will keep you up to date on this story. Tomorrow they go to court. Does the state against Holly Davis. She will be sentenced. It appears that she'll be sentenced to 25 years in prison as a result of a plea deal that is extremely controversial, and you'll hear more about that tomorrow. I'm Tom Simon in Phoenix, Arizona. Thanks for joining us.
I'm just flipping towards you and it should work. Nice.